And good afternoon and welcome to Sable's WorldForge. Sorry for the late start, gang. Oh, you can't see like anything there, can you? That's a little better. How's everyone doing today? Um, so like if nuclear winter or the apocalypse happens, you'll have to let me know because the only way I'm going to know is that the internet's going to go down. Because yeah, it's pretty smoky sky out there. I can't leave the house. That good, eh, Siobhan? I'm sorry to hear it. I asked, how things are going. Siobhan says, it's okay. You don't want to know. Same, Sable, says Walking Dead Lover. Ah, is everyone having a shit day today? I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I certainly find this kind of weather depressing. Oh, hello, Secondhand Samurai. Thank you very much for the sub and whatnot, and evening, morning, afternoon for me. 10 after 11, or 1. I'm like late getting started, and I apologize for that. Um, I, I'm sorry to hear people are having a crap day. I hope Secondhand Samurai is having a better day. I searched through all the Twitch categories today, and they seem to have retired the creative category. So I didn't really know what to put this under. It's not art. Not in the same way as all the other people doing art are streaming. They haven't bothered to give us writing yet. World Anvil is not available as a game to play. So I guess that since this is a September challenge, I'll be doing special events. Secondhand Samurai says, I've had a day of RPGs and I'm easy to please. Well, that's good. I'm glad somebody's having a good day. Yeah. My day's not been bad, to be honest. I just, woke up late because I'm still getting my schedule all switched around after the Inner Sanctum meetings. So, but that is okay. That is good. I had a good time and I enjoyed talking to people like with a face that I talk to a lot on the internet. So that was always fun. Plus, then we know all the secret, super secret stuff. Woke up to a panic attack, says Siobhan. Well, that's not the good way to start the day. That's for bloody sure. I used to have those all the time. Going to school, I had those a lot. And, it was rough. It was rough. So. Walking Dead Lover says, writing is a form of art, even if it's not drawing, though I would like it to be its own category. Yeah, I agree with you, right? The only problem is you look and see who's streaming in the art category, and they're all, like, making maps, right? And I know that, or they're, like, drawing, or, doing digital art, or whatever, and when I, look at the stream schedule and I see somebody streaming art, I generally assume they're map making, right? So, it's just an ill fit. I suppose that technically it qualifies, but it's usual corporate bullshit. Corporations do not understand humans. They don't deal with humans. They're, not sure that the board of directors are human anymore, so. Anyway. The writing category is well overdue, says Secondhand Samurai. I agree with you completely. There is a petition. I'll try to dig up the link in one of my breaks, and then maybe if you guys want to go sign it, we can get it done. Yes, hug Siobhan the writer, absolutely. Unless it is Chrysalia, they do character portraits. Well, like I said, drawing, right? Yeah, but yeah, I see what you mean. But most of the Anvilite people who stream art stream map making, for the most part. But yes, Chrysalia does character portraits, which is fun. Yeah, well, I'm going to get started on working on this challenge. I'm way behind because I've done like nothing because I've been working on my timeline. Do you guys want to see my novel timeline first, or do you want me to save that for later? Hey, Bob, how you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome. Yay. Oh, and yeah, I really appreciate the sub. Secondhand Samurai, thank you very much. This is how this thing. This is how we're able to do so much of this, right? So that's cool. I mean, I'd still stream anyway. I just don't know if I'd stream as often, right? But subs are very helpful, so thank you. And thank you to Matthew Sylvester Author and Thunderbolt for the follows since the last time I had a broadcast. Oh, we have. Here is the link. Is that for the petition? Cool. Yeah, make sure to check that out in the chat then. Definitely. Secondhand Samurai says, yeah, I get you. It's summer here, so drugs and sunshine help me, but sometimes those days don't stop. Wish you better sleeps tonight, Siobhan. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, for some reason it denied it for hostility, I don't know. Got, Walking Dead Lover says, got my Yankee candles today. The idiot who dropped them off left them in direct sunlight. Oh my god. Still pissed that I didn't get my Witch's Brew candle. Wow. Well, I'm of two minds about that one. One is, wow, what a moron. The other mind is, they don't pay delivery drivers enough to give a shit. And they should pay them more, because then they would have, you know, they wouldn't have quotas as much. Like, they get paid by quotas a lot, right? So they got to get the deliveries done as fast as they can. Time is money, right? So they don't pay attention. If they paid them a decent salary, you know, we'd get less of that crap. Yeah, Yankee candles are at least in the glass, right? Says Secondhand Samurai, so hopefully not melted. I hope they're not melted. Yeah. Maybe I'll look at my timeline after the break. Let's work on this challenge. How are you guys doing with the Alliance challenge? Because I honestly haven't poked at it at all since last week. Where is it here? Solstice Pact. Okay. Since we're not quite doing a sprint yet. Bob says, as long as it was upright. Walking Dead Lover says they weren't outside for long, thankfully. One had a couple of bubbles on top, but otherwise they were fine. Phew. Also, we didn't hear a knock, but my cat was freaking out about the door, so we checked, and that's how we knew the candles were there on a Sunday, too. What a pain. What a pain. Secondhand says, I like the Black Cherry Yankee candle. Black Cherry Yankee candle. Got a few cantrip candles as prizes. That's cool. I don't know either of these brands, honestly. We have a dollar store here in town that gets all kinds of, like, funky scented candles. So if I want scented candles, I just go down there, generally. I've been nervous about getting stuff sent in the mail. And, you know, as far as candles go, and that's why. By the way, if I look exhausted today, or, like, you know, I'm sniffling a lot, it's not a cold, and I'm not exhausted. It's the smoke. I mean, seriously, maybe I can show you this. Can I show you this without messing with the candle? Or candle. Ha! We're talking about candles, so. Okay, I'll show you this. Look at this. That is all smoke. Let's see if I can show you the horizon over there. Not through there. Can you see how the trees there are, like, fogged? That's, like, my neighbor's yard. Oh, just a second. I'm too short. Still too short. There you go. Kind of at a weird angle, but you can see. What a pain. And I'd like to say this is abnormal, but I'd be lying. Because this gets more and more normal every summer, right? If we're not on fire, Washington State is, and we just exchanged smoke. Stupid camera. It's a problem with every time I mess with the camera, right? Sorry about this. Okay, that's better. Bob says he's got most of the infrastructure done. That's cool. I know who's in the Alliance, where it is. Not I, said the fly. We'll be working on that today. Needs to go over here just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Second hand. Oh, and it has a title, says Bob. That's good. I made it that far. I got a title. I got kind of a general idea what I'm doing with it. I've got the start date and the disbanding. Secondhand Samurai says, is Canada burning as well? I figured you were too far north. Not this year. Well, sort of. Penticton is on fire. Okay, so here's like, you know, Washington State, Idaho. I should do the other way. Washington State, Idaho, right? And then here's the border, right? And Penticton is like there, right? And Penticton is on fire. You know, friends called me to ask if, you know, their evacuation order or alert became an order, could they come stay with me? Happens about once a summer these days. Welcome to climate change. I live about there. That's a place called Vernon in the Okanagan Valley, right? So south of us, across the border, we have okay, Oliver is there right on the border. That's Canadian, and then Oroville is there. They're like 10 minutes apart. You got to go through the border crossing, right? And then, you know, down into like the Okanagan Valley in the US, which is the same valley, except that north of the border we spell it with an A, and south of the border they spell it with an O. Right? But it's the same valley, and it comes from the same word from the same First Nations. And so, you know, it's political artificial borders are, I mean, it's really the same landscape, right? It's the same climate. So it, you know, this year mostly they're on fire. They're starting to get the Penticton fire out of or under control. The evacuation alerts have been rescinded, but that started like at the beginning of the month, and it wasn't, strangely, we didn't get as much smoke from that, right? And then, but you see, the Okanagan Valley runs in this like trench, kind of up this way, right? So it funnels all the smoke from Washington State up into our valley, right? So, yep. Walking Dead Lover says, today we got the Honeycrisp Apple, Bonfire Nights, these all sound very pleasant, Autumn Embers, Woodland Trail, and Bonfire Night Crisp Campfire Apples. My goodness. I'm ready for Halloween already, just reading all that. That's great. Siobhan says, it's the Smokanogan. Yeah, pretty much. Oregon is burning too. Yeah, I know Oregon is burning too, and we're getting some of that as well. And probably most of that actually is from the Oregon fires, because they're freaking huge right now. But, yeah, and that's the other thing. If I sound tired, nope, I'm not tired. Not really. It's just the roughness of my voice from trying to deal with the smoke. I have allergies, I have asthma. I'm not leaving the house today, so, yeah. Siobhan says she's managed to do what Bob has done. That's great. Dazzlecat is here. Hello. I'm pissing and moaning about the smoke. That's what you've missed. Except, you know, I've got kind of a basic start of my Alliance challenge, which I haven't done anything on since last week. Bob says mine is ongoing, and it's going to be a second or third campaign theme region. That's cool. That's cool. Walking Dead Lover says, I've been ready for Halloween since it ended last year. Me too. I love Halloween. I'm a witch. Of course I love Halloween. Siobhan says, Oregon fires started by fireworks by gender reveal party. Okay. I think I have successfully communicated my, you know, opinion of the utter fucking stupidity of such a thing. Oh my god, really. I mean, how many fires do we have to start doing these stupid things before people will quit? We should just outlaw them. That's it. If you're gonna do them, you shouldn't be allowed to have fireworks. I don't know why this isn't common sense. All right. Okay, I'm done complaining. Let's have a look at the challenge. All right, so I'm doing something called the Solstice Pact. So-called because it's it's like the alliances that led to World War One, right? And it was signed at a world called Solstice, right? That is why it's called that. Which actually, see, I've got a map here, a basic map that we kind of did because we needed a map, right, for our systems. It's actually, this is the master map that I should be looking at, which, you know, but we're redoing this, right? That's something I have done, is I've been giving Aaron the information and doing the research to set it up so that he can redo this map. Because what we'd like to do is redo it in, I think, Campaign Cartographer, and then each of these colored spheres will be represented by the star that is the center of their system. So there'll be mostly yellow stars, but there's a couple of white ones, one blue one, right, and a handful of red dwarfs and a K-type orange star, right? So, and there'll be a couple more systems on it too. But anyway, this is the system that this here that says Pax. This is the system that I've renamed Solstice, right? And that is where the treaty is signed. And basically the deal is that it's a bunch of you know, orcs and trolls and goblins and ogres that were basically, they banded together in self-defense against the aggression of the very powerful elves in space. So kind of a reversal of how things are typically presented, right? Yeah, back to the other subject. Siobhan says a gender reveal party sounds like it should be a trans coming out party. Yeah, I mean, that's what I initially thought when I heard gender reveal party. I didn't realize it was, you know, people trying to, like, get two parties out of their baby showers, you know? And anyway, yeah. Carelessness, says Dazzlecat. Fireworks over water or parking lot. Yeah. You know what? When we have the fireworks here every year, like for Canada Day and for Halloween, they're over parking lots or the lake. There's a very big lake, you know, like you can find one. It can happen. Those, you know, urban, like, cement jungles have to be useful, or cement deserts have to be useful for something, right? Walking Dead Lover says, I could say something sarcastic, but it would probably get you on a soapbox. Probably. I'm in that kind of mood today. Just be warned. Maybe that's how it got the name Pax, says Siobhan. Yeah, it could be also that it has different names by different people. I considered having the elves call it Pax, right? Or whatever the word is for peace. But Dinosaur Bob asks, does Aaron have the Cosmographer add-on for Campaign Cartographer? I don't know. I think so, because he's got, like, funky star graphics, and I'm not talking, like, you know, with pointy bits. I'm talking things that look like they're stars in space and planets and, you know, cool stuff like that. So I don't know if he's watching the stream. Maybe he can let you know. He has almost everything for Campaign Cartographer. We've had it for years and years and years and years, right? And he's rarely had an opportunity to use it. It's got a big learning curve, I find. I'm not even Like, if I had to make this map, I would make it in Adobe Photoshop, and I would use like sun and star images that I took from NASA pictures and make them smaller, because I would find that easier than what he has to do. Bob says, sounds like he does. Okay, should be easy to do then. Yeah, we're also going to do our various system maps that way. I've used it for Traveler. Cool, makes sense. Yeah, I've seen some really cool maps. There's a program, what the hell is it called now? I forget. You get it on Steam, and there's a guy named Anton Petrov who does really great space news videos on YouTube. A program he calls What the Math, right? And he uses this program to make these amazing maps. But I actually don't want to use that, and the reason why is because it keenly observes the laws of physics, and there are some magical things in my universe that will not quite work the way the laws of physics do in our universe. So, yeah. So, what I'm chewing on is that I have to come up with the constituent members of the original group. And the truth is, this is because this is the first war, and my novel is taking place in the second war. So I've only got the loosest idea of who was involved in this group. We haven't made up any of the various ethnic groups or nations or powers that were part of this agreement. We just know that they had to, that basically they felt they had to band together and defend each other, and so they did, right? I've got the thought in my head that they have a war chief as their leader, and that probably changes like it does in the Horde in World of Warcraft. Like it'll be a troll, or, well, okay, less likely to be a troll, because trolls are kind of thought of as being stupid. They're not, but they're thought of that way. So, prejudice is a thing, right? But, might be a troll, might be an orc, might be a giant at one point, highly unlikely to be a goblin. I might make one a goblin, though. Oh, that might be interesting. Ooh. Okay, okay. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Why am I dropping a lot of frames? Ah! Sorry, it says I'm dropping a lot of frames and I don't know why. I've done nothing. Oh, I forgot to reboot before I started today. Okay, this could be interesting, because I was running behind. Alright, you know what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly bring up my... Okay, I'm going to kill Discord. I don't need it right now. Okay. Alright. Siobhan says to Dinosaur Bob, Tillers was working on Traveler character sheets last night. That's cool. I kind of put him on in the background, but I started after he started, so I didn't know what sheet he was working on. We have a cave troll, says Siobhan. Yeah. Haven't noticed any frame drops? Yeah. Dinosaur Bob says, really? I'll have to talk to him about that. Which? This funky program on Steam? Want to see a neat flowscape image I did yesterday? Yeah, sure I do. Why not? Let's do it. And then I'm gonna settle into work, but let's see that first for sure. Because I'm kind of procrastinating today. Let's be honest here. Should probably put the glasses on if I'm gonna get a job done, eh? Then I can see. Oh, talk to Tillers about Traveler. Ah, yeah, makes sense. Alright. Smears. Smearing. Maybe it's time I actually cleaned these instead of wiped them off on my shirt. Cat hair on my glasses. Okay. This inn is the meeting point for first level characters in the Feywood. Okay, that's cool. Let's check it out. The Bugbear's Head Inn. Oh, that's cool. Looks cozy. Neat. If the banner images from Flowscape, the room map is Dungeon Fog. Okay, you know what? I'll look at that again. Oh, okay. That's a pretty welcoming little town. I'm gonna have to check out this Flowscape thing, I think. Yeah, I like that. I like the sloped roofs. Is this a place that gets a lot of snow? That's neat. Pleasant glens and an inviting path and stone houses, good quality stone houses. Neat. I'll like that. There we go. Alright, going back to my challenge here. It's just the inn, it's got cabin rentals? That's cool! Hello, Kit. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm just kind of poking at my Alliance challenge. If you guys have any ideas for, like, nations that could be a part of these alliances, I would find that really interesting. Bob says I had to work with the assets available, but I'm happy with it. Okay, so I've got... Okay, so this is loosely based on kind of blend of D&D and World of Warcraft ideas about these different races. Sort of. Like, more like we came up with the ideas and then I saw World of Warcraft, you know, obviously played D&D first, but, you know, then I saw World of Warcraft and went, yeah, it's kind of like that, right? So that's a more accurate description, right? We don't have kobolds in our worlds in the traditional way, nor do we have hobgoblins in the traditional way, nor do we have, you know, a bunch of that kind of stuff, right? In our worlds, hobgoblins are like what you call a human goblin cross, I think, and kobolds are some other cross species. We were toying with that last night because basically we really should do each of these different, we're going to do them as different species, the trolls and the orcs and everything else and, you know, whatnot, but biologically, if you can produce fertile offspring with it, it's part of your species, right? So all these different so-called races are all actually just sort of humans, except that some of them live longer than others, and some of them grow big beards, and some of them have pointy ears, and some of them have tusks. So what's the background, says Kit? You mean currently? This is my Alliance channel or Alliance Challenge article. If you're looking at the big eye, that's a banner I made for this group. I'm kind of drawing from Celtic and Norse legends about different, you know, kind of the source material where these sort of creatures come from, rather than the traditional fantasy race stuff. And I mean, like, there's some of that, but it's a blend. And so their kind of leader of their pantheon is Balor, right? Which is where they got the whole idea for Grumsh in D&D. Like, all of those D&D deities come from existing pagan deities from either usually Norse, Celtic, or Greek cultures. Or they blend a couple of different ideas from a couple of those cultures. Like, basically they're Wiccan gods. So I'm going back to kind of the Wiccan gods, only I'm saying that the races of my world have their own views on that, which may differ from the human cultures of our world. Which basically means that I don't intend to slavishly copy the myth material, but intend to incorporate things that are relevant to my fantasy races. And they have their own takes, like Lu, for example, which is sort of where they get the Coralin idea, except that he's more of a sun god than he is a star god in the source material, is an elf, as far as the elves are concerned, so. And I mean, he sort of is, because actually he's one of the Tuatha De Danann, which are fairies, right? So. Esong has arrived. Hello, Esong. Welcome. Dishes done, yay. That's a good thing. So, way to go, Daz. Oh, the background for the Alliance. You started explaining it as I was typing. Okay, yeah, this Alliance is basically, this Alliance was one of the powers in my equivalent of World War One. There were two interstellar wars. The second one is the one I'm writing about, and that takes place in my novels. But the first one led to the second one, obviously, just as it did in our world. You know, yes, it's an allegory. It's intended to be an allegory. I put it in big neon letters. I will not argue with you. I'll not pull any, you know, literary writer bullshit and pretend that I, you know, conjured it out of my ass. No, I did not. Yes, it's an allegory. Yes, it's intentional. Okay? Right? So, anyway, these are basically the Axis powers, right? My Fomorians, and Fomorians are basically goblinoids, right? So these guys put together an alliance to deal with what they perceived as increasing aggression from the Avalonian powers, who are mostly elves, gnomes, the occasional dwarf, the occasional human, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, so, but I haven't really come up with the idea of the constituent nations. I have some idea of some of them, but not all of them. So I guess I'll start with what I know, right? This is an old version which we're redoing, whereas it's Systems and Wormholes, of the map of related systems. They are connected by wormholes, so they might not actually be physically anywhere near each other, not that that matters. Most of them have, you know, very soul-type suns. They're G-type stars, like ours, but some of them don't. Like, some of these worlds, this world had not been discovered yet, so I'm not dealing with that one, but it has an M-type star, red sun, right? I mean, you'd think the goblinoids would probably do better, or Fomorians, as I call them in my world, in red suns, because they have dark vision and therefore see in infrared, right? Conversely, this system right here has an F-type star, which is a white star. It's brighter than our G-type star, because the elves have low light vision, and I figured that they would do fine in under an ultraviolet star, right? So, but not too much, because if you get too much, then you just burn your skin to a crisp, right? But it could be that they came from a world with an F-type star, which is why they never seem to be bothered by sunlight or the weather or tan or anything like that when they're in Earth-type environments, right? This is my thought. So, anyway, what have I missed? Dwarves, Homo sapiens, immunitive? No. DM, a bit presumptuous, elves equals Homo sapien DM. I think I made up a name for them already. But we're working on that. Basically, yeah, they'll all have their own Homo sapien variation name. Right? I'm trusting Aaron with that. He's better at that shit than me. And then I'm running it by Jamie, who knows more about Latin than either one of us. So, Dazzlecat says, my alliance was a temporary one from the time of legends. It was as much story as it was history. Fair enough. Siobhan responds to Dinosaur Bob, so are elves, presumptuous. Good point. Yep, this is not my decision. This looks intense, says Siobhan. Or it says, sorry, says Yisong. Yeah, it's, you know, it's like a space opera. It's a huge saga, so yeah, it's a bit intense. Would the nations be worlds or land masses on worlds, or both? Okay, and do colors represent alliances? This is actually a future map, but it's the one with all the systems on it. Well, okay, almost all the systems on it. There's actually 2 more systems that we're gonna add, but almost all the systems, right? So it just kind of helps me get a sense of what I have to start with, and it represents different power controlled areas of space in the future, right? So this is kind of the final outcome of the war, and you know, I wouldn't even be showing it on stream because it's a big spoiler, except that it's not going to stay the same, right? So the green systems are controlled by the Avalonians, who are basically elves and their allies, right? The red systems are controlled by the Fomorians, who are the people we're dealing with right now, the goblinoids, right? The yellow one is independent, and the purple one is independent. There's probably systems up over top of the draconian system here that are also in yellow, because they're kind of expansionist as well, but they haven't been relevant to the story, so they're not on the map, right? But these guys here are actually, you know, quite the strong power in space, and these guys are a presence, right? You find them here and there, but they're not really colonial or expansionistic, right? The other 3 are. They are. So. Yeah. Macaro is here. Welcome. Nice to see you. Dinosaur Bob says, technically dark vision isn't infrared anymore. Too much trouble dealing with the whole then you can't see cold-blooded creatures argument. Yes, I know, but this is my my universe, right? This is not D&D. It loosely came from D&D, but it's my thing, right? So I thought that was sensible, and yeah, it's difficult for them to see cold-blooded creatures in the dark. Yeah, right? I don't think it would be impossible, because movement still creates heat, which still creates infrared. Like, you know, remember that it's not as simple as heat either. Like, infrared is sort of heat, but it is heat, but it's its own thing too, right? So it's a bit more complicated than that, but yeah. Dinosaur Bob says, red stars are low light, so dark vision would still be a plus there. There is actually a thing I do in one of the stories where the difference between elf and orc vision makes a big difference to information, and it's a significant plot point. So you're figuring out who the members are from the red areas. Not necessarily, again. right? I'm so complicated. See, you see why this is taking me a while, right? And cold-blooded heat creatures lose heat faster, so there would be a heat trail, points out Siobhan. Yeah, that's true. Okay, just because these areas of space, right, are controlled, remember this is in the future, controlled by these powers, doesn't mean they were at the start of the first war. Like, this is after the second war, right? And space is complicated. So there are actually both Avalonians and Fomorians on many of these worlds, right? Draconia actually has both Avalonians and Fomorians as well. It's just that the space is controlled by a people called the Illyri, but that's another story, right? Yeah, some of these worlds are completely inhabited by Avalonians or Fomorians, right? Like Windsmere at the start of the war is completely inhabited by Avalonians, right? They don't know about Alatha yet. They haven't found it, so I'll have to create some other wormhole setups. Orish is completely Fomorian. Tarth and Nardak are completely Fomorian, right? Over here, Sylvana and Kaladar are completely Avalonian, right? And then these worlds here, these three, Carthan, Gorna, and Talasia, all have some element of both, right? I'm not sure they know about this system yet. Maybe they don't, right? This one is kind of loosely populated by Fomorians. We'll say it's controlled by Fomorians because nobody else is there, right? But they don't have a huge population there, right? And Solstice is actually not at all controlled because that's where Solstice is. I'm changing the name of this, right? And that's why it's called the Solstice Pact, because it was signed at the World of Solstice. This is not controlled by Avalonians in this time, it's controlled by Fomorians. So now what I have to do is I have to decide, okay, first of all, we have to start with the worlds that are completely controlled by Fomorian powers. We have to decide, are they ruled over by any particular group, or do the Fomorians all have independent nations within that, or is there something else that goes on there? And remember that each independent nation, whoever the ultimate authority is the one that signs the treaty. So it would be easier if I just made it all ruled by one group, but I'm not sure that I want to do that necessarily, because it makes my world less rich and interesting, right? And it could be, but maybe it isn't, right? Then there'll be Fomorian powers from here that will be like, an independent orc nation here, and a group of goblin tribes there, and maybe some troll clans from another place. So yeah, this could be a thing, right? And I'm really glad that I have been shown the thing that hides all the diplomatic relationships in the sidebar, because otherwise they would just eat my word count, I'm sure. So yeah. Okay, going back to the chat. Dazzlecat says, my next goal is the inhabitants of Aquilanus, which will be easy enough as I have already defined my races. That's awesome. Also, she's screwing with my graphic again, which I think is great. Dinosaur Bob says, you've got rival nations on single planets and some other planets that are single nation. Or does an all-Fomorian world also have multiple nations? Yeah, they might. They probably do have multiple nations. I mean, places like Issa, right, which is really small, it's cold, right? It's got a really dark sun, and the inhabitable planets are kind of on the real edge of the Goldilocks zone, right? Plus, they're tidally locked. So, I think that probably there would be that might be controlled by one power, right? Because why not, right? Or there could be an imperial power on one of these planets that controls the Fomorian nations within it. But most likely, there's a lot of individual nations. Now, I don't have to detail every single Fomorian nation that exists ever, because not necessarily all of them have spacefaring. This is just relevant to the ones that do. So, in order to support that kind of infrastructure, they either have to be in a position where it's kind of necessary, like say they live on a moon, right? Or like some asteroid. Okay, you have to have spacefaring. Kind of like if you live on an island, you have to have sea power of some kind. Just, that's it. But some of them, like, otherwise, they would have to have like some significant infrastructure to support spacefaring. It's expensive, right? It requires like age of sail technology level ships. Maybe in the First War it might require like about the age of the Spanish Armada level ships. They're not as good. That could be a thing, right? And they require magical power, right? Because unless they have star seeds, which are exclusively an Avalonian thing, then they must create their own engines. However, this is where the goblins, who otherwise would be completely bullied and taken advantage of in the Alliance, have some benefit because they're the ones who make the fucking engines. So they need the goblins. Without the goblins, they have no space power. Right? Daz is throwing up all kinds of our graphics and icons in the chat. That's great. Our emotes. Thank you, Siobhan, for the shameless plug for our Monday night game, which takes place in this universe. Yeah, absolutely. We stream Toy Soldiers Old School, which is just before the start of this war that I'm currently working on the pact for. Like, this is actually relevant to our game as well, right? We use a Pathfinder system, and yeah, we play Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific till 9 p.m. So yeah, and it's fun. Internal planetary shenanigans, says Dazzlecat. Yeah, absolutely, and that's the other thing. Just because they're allied to deal with the Avalonians doesn't mean they fucking get along, right? Like, there's internation politics, intertribal politics. I'm not going to get into all of that. Right now, I'm really concerned about the political powers that are relevant to the pact, right? And they can have their own internal bullshit later. But, yeah. Kit says, LOL, less rich and interesting equals easier, but complicated feels more truthful. But hence your current life problems. You feel me, right? I think there's a reason why this challenge is supposed to take a month. You know, when we did the Conlang challenge, oh my fuck, what a lot of work that was. And it really, like, I was struggling to get it done. I wrote the story, like, the language took me most of the month, and then to write the story, I did it in like 3 days, and then it was deadline. So the geography challenge also rather big because you had to make the map, right? So yeah, this is gonna take a while, and that's okay. Dinosaur Bob says you can have an orc nation that wants no part of Alliance. I have one! I do! They live on Carthen. They're a nation called Bloodhaven. There is a dictator who has recently established himself. Well, Khan would be more accurate. He's not really a dictator. He's more like a Mongol lord, right? And he rallies a bunch of nomadic tribes together under his rule, and he's too busy taking over land on Carthen to give a shit about what happens in space, right? So, Mikaro says, I wrote the Alliance, but I still need to write the history and a fiction piece, and then give it, like, at least 2 more passes. You need to write a fiction piece? This was not part of the challenge, as I recall, was it? Because I don't want to do that right now. I have too much other fiction on my plate. I'm still doing nano prep, man. Bob says, you sound like deep down you have a good idea about who you want in this alliance, or at least what criteria you want for constituents. Okay. So, list all potential nations and decide yes or no. That's probably a fantastic idea, actually. Okay. Alright, we'll start with that. Yeah, maybe you're right. It's just, I get overwhelmed by the tyranny of choice. When there's so much, it's like, okay, if you organize the dishes, I will do them. But I can't organize the dishes and then do them. I can do one or I can do the other, because otherwise my brain just goes, I can't do it. So it's just probably my ADD, right? But Kit says, I have my first pass written as well, but need to go back through it a bunch too. Daz says, for flavor for the pros. I could. It's not needed, but someone, Dazzlecat, I think, says Makaro had it. Cool. Makara says, so I wanted to write a fiction piece at the intro to really help set the secretive mood. Nakati says, Scribe Nakati is here, hello, and he says, I am digging the map. It's going to be a different map, though. We're going to make it with, like, star images and stuff. But thank you. Do I want just analogs for the Axis powers? No, I don't. Because it's not that simple either. But that might be a good place to start, actually. Okay, yes. Let's have a look. Sorry, I started a trend. Well, I might do that. I mean, if everybody else is doing it, you know, I kind of got a reputation to uphold as a writer, don't I? One planet at a time, list Fomorian nations, says Bob. Good thinking. Are you using hyperlanes to create stellar geography, or are there things like nebulas or some other kind of thing to achieve that, if you're even doing something like that, asks Scribe of Nakati. These represent, they're basically hyperlanes. They represent wormholes that connect the different systems. So the different systems might not even be anywhere near each other in terms of geography. Well, astrography, I guess you could say, right? I know that you can see Talasia's star as a distant, like, star in the sky from Alatha, right? Otherwise, I have not detailed exactly how close they actually are. But what these, the wormholes are concentrated, I think I mentioned before that in this universe, people sail through the use of, like, they sail through space on magical Age of Sail type ships, right? And well, technology equivalent anyway, right? And how they do it is by harnessing erts, which are currents of time, space, gravity, and magic. So basically quantum shit, right? And because magic. I don't know. It doesn't really have to make sense. It's fantasy, okay? Right? But I sort of do make it make sense, because if things are connected gravitationally, then they're probably connected in some way by an ert. So when a lot of erts concentrate into an intense path, right? A hyperlane, then it creates a wormhole, and then you can get rather quickly between the two. It's not instantaneous, right? It's not like, emerging through the stellar gate into quadrant 4 or whatever, right? It's, you still have to travel on that current, but that current is moving you along at well beyond light speed. So yeah, it's a hyper lane. You're absolutely. Yeah. Cosmography? Sure, fair enough. That's a logical word. Kit says, the opening of my article is basically a little blurb on the Alliance member, then a Hamilton-style quote, we loved her, etc. Yes, I read your article. It was excellent, actually. Yeah. Neat. I really liked how you had arranged things so that it's very clear about what each constituent member of the Alliance is and why they're involved. That was really nice. Dad says mine was granddad talking to the kids. Yeah. Space fantasy. Okay, you know what? I like that idea of, let's start with... I think I need to make notes somewhere, don't I? But yeah, let's start with World War I. We will go to Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is smart, and one thing they will do is, in a sidebar, they will list something called the belligerents, and these are the people who are fighting on the other side. Haha. See, now I've actually got the reverse thing going on here. You notice how the Allied Powers over here has this like list, right? And then the Central Powers and co-belligerents are like somewhat limited. See, yeah, like it's probably going to look more like this. This is actually great. Maybe I will just, try to come up with analogs and use it as a list. But yeah, so the original Quadruple Alliance was Germany, Austria Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. And then they had their client states and co belligerent state combatants, which were smaller states that got involved, right? So it's going to look like that. Okay. That does give me a place to start. Germany, Italy, Japan, World War One? I don't think so. It's World War Two, isn't it? Yeah, it's World War Two. Yeah. Okay. I had a weird moment there, but all right. Yeah, wrong war, says Dinosaur Bob. Wrong war! Yeah. Oh, wow, people were, like, talking a lot. Okay. Um, Dinosaur Bob says, I was going to ask if hyperlanes were bidirectional, but I'm going to help you stay focused. Well, that's relevant, actually, because then, you know who can attack whom and when and under what circumstances and who's likely to be pissing each other off, right? So, often but not always is the answer. And just because it goes really quickly, okay, if it goes one way, it doesn't necessarily mean it goes the other. If it goes really fast one way, it doesn't mean it goes really fast in the other direction, right? So it depends. Yes. Did I clip the chocolate eating? No, I did not. I did not get there yet. I fired up my computer to do so and I got distracted and I had other things I had to do and my brain just hasn't been working this past week. But I will do it when I'm done here. Okay? I promise. I'm sorry. Kit says it's really good structure to follow. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is. It looks like a good start. Macaro says, mine is going to be the leader of the industrialists having a secret meeting, but the leader of the spy network also attending, which leads to a quick temporary bout of paranoia. Then in the meeting, the progress is cryptically explained. Cool. That is a complex list. Yes, because you know what? Life is complicated. I imagine this is going to be somewhat of a nightmare when I get my diplomacy web up and going now. Everyone's like, wrong war! Scribe says the Ottoman Empire is such a sadly underutilized source of inspiration in terms of fantasy and science fiction writing. I know, right? They were so important for so long, and they're so interesting and complex. And people, we don't know anything about them here in the West. Where it's like we want to forget they existed, but they were really significant, you know? Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. This is a World War One analog. Yes. Makara says, at least you don't have 19 members in your alliance. Someone has 19 clans. Um, Not necessarily. I mean, look at this list. First of all, we have the Quadruple Alliance, that's four, right? Then we have the client states of the German Empire, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? Then we have the client states of the Ottoman Empire, 16, 17. And then we have the smaller co belligerents, where was I at? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So ideally, if I use this as a base, I'm going to come up with 21 different powers. So, yeah. I think you have enough ideas to start writing, says Esau. Good for you. Thank you for poking me in the ass. You're right. I need to start writing. They're at word count 3,330. IRC, yeah. Don't we have a 2,500 word count limit on this? Because there's no way. I'm not even going to start the details on any of these powers for this article. This is not worth it. Just not gonna. Esong says, but if you need a bit more research time, you can wait to do the 5 minutes of writing. Oh, did you use a... Oh, let's talk more right. You did use it. Okay. All right. Let's talk more right. So I'll shut up and I will do 5 minutes of concentrating on making my list. Right? So let's see here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy this. Oh, you're not helpful. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to paste that. There we go. Now I have a place to start. So, Quadruple Alliance. Client states of one group, client states of the other group, and co-belligerents. Alright, so why don't I start with my major powers, right? Who are my major powers? Where is my map? Systems wormholes, okay. Okay, I think there's going to be a big orcish power on Gorna. Let's start with that. Now I have to come up with names for all this shit. Okay. I have this window open twice. No wonder it's having trouble. See? Okay, so we're going to go with this window. Alright, so Gorna has big orcish power. I'm going to leave that just for the equivalents. Big orc power from Gorna. I think the Ottoman Empire is going to be multi-Fomorian power because that would probably be more, I mean, they're complex, right? They're complex. Austria-Hungary is like a combination of a combination of a combination of shit. So, the multi-Fomorian power is probably from a world that is entirely inhabited by Fomorians. Well, they'll be the guys from PAX, why not? Well, Solstice, right? Because I'm changing the name from Solstice. Austria-Hungary is a combination of a combination, so... How about a troll ogre power? I mean, the logical one would be ogres and giants, but... That's disturbing, actually, when I think about that, because you think about Oni, right? And then we have a particularly intelligent race of trolls. Yikes. Okay. No, that's not what I want. This is what I want. Okay. Hearth, I think. And I don't remember which one of these I gave a dark star to. I think Nordic has a bright star, so that's okay. From Nordic. Well, who have I not included? The Giants, right? And I know I haven't included the Goblins either, but the Goblins will generally be part of client states. Yeah, I got Trolls, I got Ogres, I got Orcs, yeah, so Giants. Are from... Oh, which one's a good place to have the Giants from? Well, Isa would make sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so they're from Isa. Okay, so I think I've got to start here. It's been about it's been 7 minutes actually. It's alright. Thank you for the Let's Talk More Right. That's great. Alright. Kit says 19 clans. I have 5 and I'm totally resisting adding anyone to it. That's smart. Siobhan says I have 8, I think. Need to look into the Ottoman Empire. Oh yeah, very interesting. Dazzlecat's smart. Daz has 3. Good for you. That's intelligent. Dinosaur Bob says, so to keep analogous, you need a big 3. Austria, Hungary, Germany, Ottomans. Yep, pretty much. And yes, I was right about the 2,500 word limit. Kit says you can start learning about the Ottoman Empire with the song Istanbul, not Constantinople. Istanbul, not Constantinople. Yeah, the history of that place is really complex and interesting. Constantinople is a fascinating... I'm really fascinated with that period of history, actually. The whole, conflict, the fall of Constantinople, that whole business. There's some really interesting shit going on there, so... Bob's like, no you're not, you're gonna come up with a big 2 or 3 and then a small handful of satellite nations. Yes, in order to make my life easier. Fair enough. Hey DM Stretch, welcome. Good to see you. Names later, that's an edit. For now it's Gornish Orcs. Good idea. Yeah, I agree with you, Bob. Get the fantasy name generator online, says Dazzlecat. Oh, I don't have to. I have one better than that. Okay, but thank you for reminding me. I have World Spinner, and I use their orc stuff in there because it works, right? So I can totally borrow that. That's great. Cool, fire one up, says Daz. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of torn between Daz's advice and Bob's. Right? Bob is right. It's not important right now. On the other hand, Daz is right, and sometimes having a name helps me to form a concept. Right? So, I'll chew on that. I gotta take a break here pretty quick because I've come up to the first hour. Right? And I am out of coffee. And this is a tragedy, and we must fix this. So, at the break, I will consider which one I'm gonna do. Okay, Bob says, remember too, it wasn't really 2 big alliances at the start of World War I. There were webs of alliances. Exactly. Right? Puny Nation 1 was allied with Strong Nation 2. When Strong Nation 3, another ally of 2, got attacked, 2 declared war, which meant 1 had to also. Exactly. Constantinople, laughing my ass off, says DM Stretch. Yeah, there's a good way to start a fight on both sides and have them both beating you with clubs. It changed hands 4 times in 50 years, correct. That was Siobhan who said that. Daz said, it's also fascinating how much of Constantinople still exists between Istanbul. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's on my bucket list to visit Istanbul, right? It's, it's one of the places that I would like to go before I die. It's just so that I can check out the amazing pieces of history there. Kit says that's nobody's business but the Turks. Yeah. E-Song says we could be chatmates. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, it's 20 after 2. I'm taking a 5-minute break. Well, it's been typically about 7 minutes, I've noticed, since I started a timer. So I will see you in, 5 to 10 minutes. You're reflecting after Siobhan's stream, instead of being first mates, you can call us chatmates. That's true. Well, see, you guys are a crew, right? You guys are my crew, right? And Bosons are moderators, which I haven't appointed yet, right? But my warrants are logically my subscribers, right? That makes sense, doesn't it? Siobhan says, no, we are her press gang. Yeah, that's it. You have to watch my streams because the laws of the Navy or my pirate crew says you have to, right? Yeah. It's hilarious. I love it. Okay. I'll be right back, guys. See you in a couple minutes. This thing is frustrating the hell out of me. For some reason it isn't working. I'm gonna have to reinstall it. I don't understand why my timer's not working. Alright, so I'll be fixing this on stream, because I've had enough of this shit. There. Alright, I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, and we're back. Aaron was showing me the new map he is making, actually. It's really cool. He's got it on like a 3D plane, and he's got all the stars to scale. So, it's going to be awesome. Yes, I'm very excited about it. The only problem is that from like a full view where you can see all the stars, you can't see the details, but I think it's going to look great when it gets to, yeah, right, because, you know, then of course we can apply all the World Anvil map tools where you can zoom in and get individual maps of the different systems, and I can put like lines and polygons and, you know, tags and so many neat things. Siobhan is not finished. She's not sure she's going to get her Alliance challenge finished in time, right? Because she's too focused on novel writing. Steal errands today. Steal errands what? Aw, Dazzlecat's team lost today. First game of the season to their biggest divisional rivals. Yeah, my hockey team's out of the playoffs. They made it farther than anybody thought they would make it, but they're out. It's a shame. Yeah, alright. So I'm going to get back to work. Maybe we are now at a point where we can do some focused, like, work periods, like a sprint. What do you guys think? I'm going to check this over here. See, I have, like, the highlight window open where I'm intending to clip the chocolate challenge, but I have not done so yet. Oh, neat. My friend Author Goddess is live. Have to raid her if she's still streaming when we're done, unless there's somebody in the ASC to stream, but I don't think there is when we're done. I mean, it's still a while yet, still gonna be here a bit. Oh no, Kahuna, right? Kahuna's on today. If Kahuna can talk with all this damn smoke, I don't know. Alright. I'm gonna focus on getting food, says Siobhan. Okay. See you later. I should have eaten before I started this. Alright. So I'm going to do a focus period of work here. We're going to call it a sprint. Because, yeah, actually, Esong, Dinosaur Bob, and Scribe were all very helpful. And Daz, too, in getting me started with the focus. So I hope if I haven't missed you. Alright. You think you're going to lose me? Yay, focused. Says Daz. Good point. Alright. So we're going to do 15 minutes. We're going to use Darth Nicholas's wonderful timer. And ready? Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to babble away. I hope that's okay. Big Orc power from Gorna, Troll Ogre power from Nardek, Multi-Fomorian power from Solstice, and Giant power from Isa. Client states. Okay, let's actually look at the co-belligerents first. The smaller co-belligerents may be easier to come up with. Okay, now, do I have... Okay, let's see. Yes. I don't have anybody from either Talasia or from Carthen. Those are my big worlds, right? So I will need smaller co-belligerents from them. So Persuasion power there, and a Carthinian power there. And then the other co-belligerents are optional, and then I'll have client states. Okay, so goblins. Trolls. Yeah, okay. Goblins, trolls, but most of these are actually going to be like independent orc groups, I think. I've got this backwards. Probably it would make more sense if I made this equivalent. Yeah, I heard as I went out that there's like a... the air quality here today is like a 9 or 10 on the scale. Just absolutely abysmal. Okay. Should probably throw a draconian group in there somewhere. Yeah. I wonder if they know about Oris yet. No, but they need somebody in Simia. Okay. And then I gotta come up with these guys. Alright. Start with that. Huh. Timing's good. So that finishes our sprint. Such as it is. Siobhan says, quick, attack the Aryan Rod's pride. Stop those Sunfall boys. No doubt. Dazzlecat says, crap, I just had an inspiration for 2 more races. Dang it. I feel ya. Yeah. Siobhan says, it is a stay out of Sable's Discord kind of day. Uh-oh. Why are we staying out of my Discord? Do I want to know? I don't even have my Discord open. I have no idea what's going on. Hopefully no one is being a problem. Okay. DM Stretch says, 1 for after the sprint. I've signed up for my first ever nano. I have no idea how to prep for it. Congratulations. I can help you. There is a thing that NaNoWriMo does. We can look at this. I will have a look at this. Just a second here. Where is the calendar of events? Okay, so scrolling down here, right, we have events. Okay, that was the September challenge schedule. There's the main event page. NaNoWriMo. Okay, so NaNoWriMo has kind of a calendar laid out, and I don't even know. Maybe you're not even doing that, DM Stretch, because you're probably writing for like role-playing games, right? Okay, so Preptember and Preptober, right? Starting next week, we're going to talk about developing a story idea, right? And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do something associated with each of these particular events for each one of my Diane Wright streams on Wednesdays, right up to November. So, developing a story idea or developing your concept, you know, where do you start? How do you know what's a good idea? You know, where do ideas come from? We're going to talk about that next week. Then the week after, we're going to talk about characters, right? This is even important if you're writing game mechanics or game worlds, because you're going to have significant NPCs, you're going to have significant cultures, you're going to have significant races, and you can treat all those like characters. And we're going to talk about making them interesting and complex, giving them motivations, right? What do they want? Why do they want it? These are important questions to ask, right? Then construct a detailed plot or outline on week 3. I cannot outline to save my life, but I have something special planned for that, so we're going to check that out. And then week 4, build a strong world. You guys probably don't need this, so what I'm going to focus on is how to make it live through your writing and your prose, because you guys already know how to make the world. The question is, can you communicate it? Right? Then these 2 weeks, organize your life for writing, ways in which you can, you know, set up maximum possibilities for success, right? And find and manage your time, ways to find more time for writing. And then, you know, this is going to be kind of a last minute check before the month begins, right? And then in November, I am streaming like a mad person. So basically, if Aaron is not doing an Ask an Old GM stream that day, I'm streaming at some point, right? I would suggest that you consult this for details, because some of it, like, there's a couple that are going to be in the morning. Most of them are going to be around this time, right? There's a couple of events I'm going to do like in the evening. I wanted to do like a nano launch event on midnight my time on the 1st, but I may not do it because I'm cross streaming against Chris. If I can't figure out a way to for us to combine our efforts, I probably won't do that one. But right, I don't want to do that cross streaming, right? So yeah, and yeah, so that's like streaming plans that we have for it. What are you going to write? That's the key, actually, there, DM Stretch. You can tell me about it after the sprint, because we're about to start another sprint. Daz is going to plot out stories like adventures and campaign, then during Nano write about the characters they make up going through them. I can, because it's all one story. Makes sense? Politics, says Siobhan. Gotcha. That's what's in my thing on my server. Alright. Alright. So I'm back to work for now, guys. I'll see you in 15 minutes. And then we're going to take our second break, I think. It'll be a quick one. Okay, now that I've got this... Now is where I get my world spinner thing out. Oh good, I'm still logged in. Oh, I forgot about the Uncali. I wonder what side they come in on. I bet they come in on the... Ha! So they're the Parthenian power. The Uncali. Okay. They're lizard people. I have a trollish culture? I forgot that I did that. Okay, fine. I'm not sure I can use the goblin name generator, but let's give it a go. That looks exactly like the orcish name generator to me. Okay, I'm gonna leave the goblin stuff blank for the moment. Goblins are kind of Aaron's babies in this world, so I'm gonna let him come up with shit for that. Well, why don't I start with the lizard people? Sure. Those look like good names. I don't know, these sound very Aztec to me. I don't think Sokamache is too bad. I'll use that. I think that's how it was spelled, wasn't it? Sokamache. That's better, actually. Now, who's in charge of this multi-Fomorian power? Who's likely to run it? If you guys have ideas, feel free to throw them out in the chat, by the way. I think we're going to make my powerful orcs be in charge of that. Well, I made up a fucking Orcish language, didn't I? Okay, where did I say these guys were from? They're from... Gorna. Okay. Alright. That's the end of that, I guess, the sprint. I'm going to fill this in before I forget what I was doing. I think that was right, was it not? Yep, Harakrisu. More like Harakrisu. I don't roll my R's very well, but yeah, there we go. Sword of Honor. Alright. How'd you guys do, by the way? Politics is why I want to stay out of my server today. Got it. Alright, I was telling DM Stretch about planning things out. It depends what you're doing, right? Are you writing game material or are you writing fiction? Let me know, and maybe I can address that appropriately. Because there are different ways to handle that, and I can give you some suggestions. Okay, Dazzlecat says, I plan on plotting out my stories like adventures in a campaign. Okay, we were discussing that, yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun and a good place to start. Plotting out my stories like adventures in a campaign, then during Nano, write about the characters you make up going through them. Yep, sounds great. You can railroad because it's all story. Yes, you can. DM Stretch had another inspiration for a D&D monster, an inspiration for another D&D monster from playing Diablo 3. That's great. Cool, can't wait to see it. Siobhan started cleaning instead of eating. You're a silly girl. Eat. Teasing. DM Stretch says, I might do story relating to Ravnica, some sort of lore one, as I cannot do dialogue to save my life. I can give you some tips on that, but, yeah, dialogue can be hard if you don't know how to approach it. The best thing you can do is read somebody else's dialogue where you like their style and try to sort of emulate it. Wow, that's a lot, he says. I wonder what he was saying it about. That was DM Stretch. Yeah, bunch of streaming, probably. That's probably what he was talking about. Siobhan says, I'm following Cresselia on the first and lots of sprints. Yep. Author Goddess is here. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. How are you today? I saw that you were streaming, but you were streaming at the same time I was, so I did not get to go and check it out. How did it go? Makara says, I need a random year. Grabs a dice roller. That's the way to do it. And then says hello. Siobhan says, shh, Sable is writing. Like, I can hear you guys in the chat. You're ridiculous. Makara says, I'm quiet though. My wife is trying to sleep, so I'm not talking. That's hilarious. Dazzle Cat says, okay, finished the ending of my article. Awesome. That's great. Cool. If you want to share, feel free. And we can check that out after. You know, I don't think I am going to take a break here. I think I'm just going to work through. Well, no. Wait, no, I have to take a break. Right, so I will do that in a moment. But it will be a quick break. Makara says, some streams we watch for the moves, others for the cursing, like a sailor. I wonder which one I fall into. Okay. Dan Stretch says, yes, on about the streaming for Nano, that's a lot. Yeah, it is. It's gonna be fun. We have a plan. I'm gonna tell you a little bit, hint at it a bit when I get done from the break. I'm gonna quickly switch back to the main actually, but Siobhan needs to clean. So that she can take pictures for a potential tenant. Well, good luck. I hope that works out. Send good energy, good vibes to Siobhan for that working out, because she really needs a tenant to help pay her mortgage. So that would be good, right? Can't have them see what happens when I fall into a depressive state. In today's rental market, yes, you can. Okay, I'll be back in a couple of quick minutes. Yeah, bio break, and I will see you in a few. I'm probably gonna have to screw with this timer again for the be right back. So, yes, that is what I figured. Okay, so there we go. Alright, we're back. Alright, you guys ready to... we've probably got time for one, maybe two more sprints if you guys are into that. I'm going to do at least one more. If you guys want to chat in the last bit, let me know while the sprint is going on, and that's cool. We can look at people's articles, discuss things you want to work on. Sorry that took a little longer than I intended. I shoveled a piece of food in my face because I was like wilting like a flower, so it was time. And I turned on the air conditioner not for the cool, because it's actually pretty cool in here, but because I need it for the air quality. It's that bad. It is something awful, man. Wow. Makara says, I promised to go to bed at 12:30. Right, so I'll have to log on for 0:30, right? So I'll have to log after 5 minutes. Fair enough. It's fair enough. The wife was like, go to bed at a reasonable hour? Fair enough. Makara says was going to have a friend visit us today, but he got way too anxious, only slept 4 hours, and then realized he couldn't make it like that. He sat in the sun and had water later, which helped, so now we've concluded he's a plant. I'm a plant too. I'm not getting enough sunlight like this. This is not good. So. I mean, it's enough to make you seriously think about moving across the country and dealing with potential hurricanes and, you know, house-burying blizzards instead. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Ah, there's your organization. Okay, well, you know what? Why don't we quickly look at that? Because Makara has to go to bed in a few minutes. And... yeah. Then we'll get back to a sprint after. Alright. Yes, this is Daz's, Synergazia article. Axis of Skyfire. Far, far back, in the time of legends, the Pandians lived upon Uruk, on the very slopes of Mount Nimrod, Grandar told the circle of younglings. How did they live in the fire and smoke, Grandar? The ever-questioning Spurius demanded. This should not be capitalized, because this is part of this sentence. Anyway. Yeah, back then Mount Nimrod was a gentler fire mountain, spewing its burning rocks slowly and carefully so as to not harm those living upon it, Grandar Amulius told his grandson. But then the Furians and their axis of skyfire burst their way out of Mount Nimrod, turning it into a roaring beast of a mountain. So began the dark and terrible time that brought about the ever-swirling maw. Ew. Little Pomptina sat with her eyes as wide as could be. Aw. So the axis is behind everything? Spurius asked, sounding unsure if he wanted the answer. Not anymore, Spurius, Grandar answered, soothing the boy. We broke the axis of Skyfire before they could destroy the world. Oh, this is a long article. I don't know if I'm going to read it all. But we'll see. Yeah, to Kalis. The Pandians, a feathered folk with great wings sprouting from their backs and hooked beaks for mouths, worshipped Callias, the sky. They felt trapped and apart from Callias as they lived upon the Uruk, the only bit of land in all Aquilanus. Only when they flew were they content, believing themselves to be in the embrace of Kalis. More than just flyers and hunters of sea creatures, Pandians learned the casting of magic. As they learned more and more about magic, each generation of mages looked harder and harder for a way for them to live within Callias' embrace forever. Ages passed until Numerus Alcinius Veturius became High Magus of Discovery. He found the way. This way would be difficult and dangerous and could possibly ruin the world. Numerus did not have the political clout to get his discovery voted upon, so he decided to carry it out himself. It would take far, far more magic than one mage could do, or even a dozen. He needed a following. For this he turned to other mages who were not well connected. They were many, as the privileged were few, and not about to share that privilege with anyone. These fellow mages heard his plan and embraced it with all the fervor he did. If they could bring the Pandians to Kalis, they would be the privileged and powerful. Numerus named his new followers the Order of Skyfire. Into the fire. But there aren't enough of us to do this, Master Numerus, Alpius, adept of collations, pointed out. For now, Numerus agreed. Comma. Not period here, right? But that will soon change once we get the power of Mount Nimrod under our control. But the Furians. The Furians will give us more power from Nimrod once they realize they will get all of Nimrod in exchange. How? Numerus rose. Time to go, Ulpius, Numerus ordered. Into the belly of Nimrod for a bit of negotiation. I think that's negotiation. Negotiation is spelled Neogiation. So you're missing an I or an AT there or something. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, my brain is not doing it today. Type it here. Sometimes. Yeah, there we go. Negotiation. Okay. Excuse me. Opius trembled on his taloned feet. Mount Nimrod was a mountain riddled with tunnels, deadly vapors, heat, and the powerful Furians. Standing nearly twice as tall as any Pandian, they wielded blades of metal and took joy in hacking others to pieces or roasting them over molten rock. And Master Numerus thought they could just walk in for a bit of negotiations? Well, he spelled right down there. Come, Opius, Numerus ordered in a voice as sharp as his beak. No time for dithering. Yes, Master Numerus, Opius answered, and he hurried to follow Master Numerus as he pretended his voice had not just chirped like a chick's. Numerus went into the tunnels of Mount Nimrod and successfully negotiated with the Furian, who immediately set about fulfilling their part of the bargain. Deep at the root of Mount Nimrod, they worked the volcanic streams into rising and pooling higher and higher. This rising lava caused Mount Nimrod to smoke and tremble with growing power. This trembling shook the great Pandian city, Tarako. These were mild and harmless, but their frequency drew alarm from the populace. I doubt they were entirely mild and harmless. I'm sure shit fell off of shelves and things. The Order of Skyfire turned this alarm into near panic with predictions of a terrible eruption that all Pandians must flee. With the vile Numus lurking in the jungles and mangrove swamps on the island, the only real hope was up into Callias's embrace. Fortunately, the humble Order of Skyfire had been working on a plan that would use the very power of Mount Nimrod to build a new Tarako in the sky. Join them and save all Pandurans. All Pandians, rumor crafted by Numerus and his followers. These rumors grew into such a resounding voice from the populace that the Senate agreed, and so all of Tarako, home of all Pandians, united to build their haven in Kalis. To keep the croc-like Numus away from Mount Nimrod, the Pandians formed a treaty with the Harpina, a lesser featherless winged folk of mystical song who lived in the treetops, offering them a home in Sky Tarako in exchange for them keeping the Numus away from Mount Nimrod. It's like, well, that's nice. So they're using like smaller bird people to keep the crocodiles away. That's, you know. And lesser by what standard? Are they smaller? Right. With that threat under the control of the Harpina, the Senate next went to the Furians, and as Numerus had promised the Fire Giants, the Senate formalized the agreement of giving the Furians the slopes of Mount Nimrod as soon as their new Sky Tarako was made. The Pandians, the Harpina, and the Furians called their new alliance the Axis of Skyfire. The power of Nimrod. It did not take long for the Numus to discover what was being planned on Mount Nimrod, and it terrified them. So much so that, despite being a fiercely independent and self-sufficient race, they did not hesitate to send a delegation to Delphi and Aquil, folks who lived under the sea. Delphi seers and Aquil scryers quickly realized the truth for themselves. They began to rally their forces, but this took time. Meanwhile, the Pandians learned that Numis had gone for help. Time to carry out, or that the Numis had gone for help. Time to carry out their desperate plan was growing short. The Furians increased the lava flows, and the tremors turned into stronger quakes. Smoke from Mount Nimrod thickened and darkened. Heat from below was warming the streets of Tarako, and the sense of imminent doom seeped into every corner of Uruk. Pandian mages scrambled to prepare their rituals. I find myself wondering why the Furians did not do this in the first place if they had the power to do this. Why did they need encouragement from these other races? What stopped them from doing it at all, right? Then the Aquila and the Dophi arrived. The Dophi had fishtails, so they could not go on land, but they could ride water columns they crafted from the sea. Like great arms, these columns reached inland, and the Dophi rained magic and siege coral into the treetops. Neat. The Aquila rode hippocampi, seahorses that could change their shapes. They galloped up onto the shore shaped like horses, with paws suited for running the mangroves and the floor of the jungle. Well, that's more like the traditional legend, so that's neat. More hippocampi took to the sky to confront the Harpina with vaguely horse-shaped headed bodies. Long tails made for balanced flight, and wings where they should have had 4 legs carried them into the sky. It was too much for the Harpina to fend off. They sent for aid. With their part in the magic done, the Furians eagerly charged into battle. Their arrival blunted the charge of the waterfolk, giving the Harpina time to rally. As this new turn of the battle raged, you've got rages, but past tense, you've had everything else. The Pandians started their rituals. Mount Nimrod shook and belched out black smoke. Great cracks formed on its peak. I see. The Pandians were needed to assist in the ritual. Okay. That's why the Furians didn't do it before. Then the peak burst into a thundering roar, flattening even the mighty Furians as the trees nearest Mount Nimrod fell, but nothing rained down. Instead, all that rock and earth and lava rained up and up. This was not enough for what the Pandians needed, but they had already known and planned. Far below the seafloor, underneath the deep dark waters, Furians had followed a most ancient lava way to a slumbering volcano that had not roared in eons. With them had traveled Numerus himself and his strongest followers. Together they waited until these Furians set this old volcano to roaring and spewing out the hot flowing stone. Riding in a magic dome upon a great stone slab, just cool enough to not burn them, these Pandians rode the eruption up to Calis, the end of the axis. While those on the island recovered and tried to rally their forces, some of the Pandian mages converted smoke, ash, and steam into clouds that would forever drift within Calis. Others, led by Numerus, formed all the rock and debris into great plots of land upon the new clouds. Pandians flew away from Uruk, flying for their new homelands. Seeing this, the Harpina began to sing in victory. They flew away from Uruk, following the Pandians to their new promised lands as they outraced the Aquils on their flying hippocampi. The Furians poured out of Mount Nimrod to claim all of Uruk. Interesting. Out of the depths, the ever-swirling maw grew and grew until it reached the top of the water and consumed the belching fire rock from below, cooling it forever, Grandar told the children, who all now had eyes as wide as little Pomptina's. Spurius was silent. The burning rock never fell, for the Osprey folk used magics to catch it and set it upon the clouds. The singing ones fled to the skies, leaving only the hordes of firewalkers who nearly broke us, but we drove them back into Mount Nimrod, defeated, he concluded. Of course, that was not enough for Spurius. But where did the maw come from, Grandar? No one knows, Spurius, Grandar said, then chuckled. Perhaps you will be the first in all of history to discover that. Spurius sat up straight and squared his shoulders. Perhaps I will. The unknown aftermath. The ancient volcano had spewed up in the home waters of the Isurus, the ever-hungry shark folk. As vicious and barbaric as they were, they had their shamans who retaliated against this fiery threat. In a rare moment of racial unity, the shamans of all the surviving schools came together. The deep sea began to swirl, a little at first, then more and more, until a whirlpool reached all the way to the surface, thousands of feet above the seafloor. This whirlpool reached down into the ancient volcano and cooled its molten heart. Water filled its tunnels all the way back to Uruk, drowning the Furians within them. One such tunnel led down, so far down that the water never stopped flowing, and as long as the water flowed, the whirlpool lived, a place that has ever since become known as the ever-swirling Maw. Fascinating stuff. Talk about breaking the planet. That's kind of neat. Yeah, Alliance Article 2, absolutely. 1,739 words, eeps. Chick is in baby pandying. Yeah, I gathered that one, actually. I caught that. That's cool. Okay, I know we only have 20 minutes left, but I'm going to take one more second because I'm going to go run and get another allergy pill, right? I'll just take that and I'll be back. So, 2 minutes tops. Okay, so I lied, so it's like 3.5 minutes. I have iced tea. Thank you for the hydrate. But honestly, it's really not that. It's that there's so many particulates in the air. I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but I showed outside. Basically, let me know if they drop the bombs and nuclear winter starts, because you will have to inform me, or the internet will have to go out, like, completely, because otherwise I will never know, because it looks like nuclear winter here. It's terrible. Ugh. And my allergies just can't take it. Like, they just can't. I'm one of those people where they say, the vulnerable should stay inside and reduce their activities. That's me, right? It's really bad this year. And you know what? I thought we were going to get away with not doing it this year because it was a really wet spring. And I was like, oh, good, it'll be a wet spring, and then it'll be summer won't be quite so bad, and we won't have these huge fires, and, that'll be great. But fuck it, it's 2020, so of course, if it can go wrong, it did, right? Well, Canada is a nuclear summer. Fact. Okay, I'm gonna do one more work period. That'll take us to 4 o'clock. And at that point, we're gonna go raid Kahuna and enjoy Kahuna reading if he can talk in all this fucking smoke. So, I hope he can, because he's in California, and I understand it's no better there. So, alright. Smoke? Yeah. Oregon is on fire. A good deal of Washington State is on fire, right? I live in the Okanagan Valley in BC, Canada, right? So, Washington State, BC, right? Okanagan Valley runs like this, right? It funnels all the smoke up into our part of the Okanagan Valley. To be fair, Penticton, which is about there, is on fire as well, right? But it's starting to get under control. It's been on fire for a while, and the smoke has been like this, right? Vernon is about there. That's where I live, right? And all the smoke is coming up from the south, up here, and the air quality is abysmal. Sable, where is your cigar? California has fires. Yeah, I know California has fires too. Basically, if it's like the west coast of the United States is on fire, basically. As for cigar, I never smoke on screen. It's it's my personal thing. So I will probably find one after the stream is done, and that will probably help. Honestly, I know it sounds bizarre, but All right. So then, let's do a period of work, shall we? You guys ready? And go. Alright, back to my pact here. Oh, do I have like a giant name generator? I probably do. Nope, no giants. Ah, but I have the Vitter Alfar. Oh no, but I use like elfie names. Okay, fine. Oh, that's no good. Norse name generator. I'm sure there's gotta be one. Ha! Viking! Ha ha! Stein. I wonder what that means. I will find out, because you know what you can do? The closest current language that exists to the Norse is the Icelandic language. Lovestone. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. Stein means stone. What a cool name. I wonder if that's a good name for one of my Fomorian alliances. Giant power from Issa? Yeah, sure. Why the hell not? Okay. Yeah, so if you ever want to translate anything from Norse, stick it into the an Icelandic, you know, translator and see if you can come up with something, because odds are. There. No. Okay, do I have more giants somewhere? Yes, I do. So I can come up with another Norse name here. Takaland. Alright, I'm gonna try that in Icelandic. The English translator and see if what that means, if anything. Nothing. Alright, let's try something else. Land, obviously. And Hoffen? I wonder if these were actual Viking names of things. Okay, so a bunch of these names don't mean anything. Well, disappointment. Skrudland? I wonder what that means, if anything. I got a feeling that one might mean something. Alright, let's try that. Skrudland. Beautiful land. That's nice. Nothing. Vopnilder? That's a good name for something. Nah. Okay, there we go. I found a winner. Take land. They named it because they fucking conquered it. Alright, I like it. Trolls are also Norse originally, aren't they? Yes. Scandinavian. Cool. So I can use Norse generators for them too. Fucking awesome. Alright. I have a feeling this means Fang Stone. Let's try it. Catch a stone. I like that. That's cool. Where's my trolls? I have trolls. Oh, I was going to give that a combination name too. But I have another set of trolls. You guys can have that name. You see, now I've got some cultural variation between my trolls as well. Now, see, all this stuff the client states, right? And, you know, I'm not going to show them in my web, but they're going to be listed under belligerents, right? Because I'm going to do like a, you know, column in the side that looks a bit like the Wikipedia layout, because that makes a lot of sense. I think that Aaron was borrowing from Slavic cultures for his goblins. Dragan, that sounds like a good name for a nation. I like that. Actually, I'll use these guys for one of my co-belligerents there. That makes more sense. Okay. Radivoj. Krastio. I like Krastio. That's a good one. I'll double check this with Aaron when he gets home, but I believe that's what he was doing for their gods, was he was drawing upon, just like I'm drawing upon Norse and Celtic legends for my Elven and Orcish gods, right? He was using Slavic gods to draw upon for the goblins. Kuznetsov. That's a good one. No, I think that one I'll use this for, actually. Or maybe a combination. Okay. Oh, I have another nation of trolls. Okay. Go back to my Vikings. Skylder? Honelder? Honelder. Honelder, Ronland, maybe. What? Alright. Just gonna fill that in while I remember what the hell I am doing. Honelder. Maybe that'll be a combination name too, because I kind of like those. Gives it some depth. So Honelder. Honelder Sec. I like that. There. Alright. Well, I got a fair bit of work done today, even if it was more the brainstormy type. Oh well, that was chatty. Okay. Daz was streaming with, or was sprinting with us. How'd you do? Siobhan says, one day I may just stream bomb you. Right? But only at the end of the stream. That's cool. Feel free. Especially during Nano. Because some days, don't do it on Wednesdays though, because there's lots of people streaming on Wednesdays already. And I don't want to cross stream with anybody. But let's have a look. Just a sec. Let's look at the schedule here. No, wrong one. Right one. Okay. So, here's the schedule. Alright, Oh, it's getting pretty full again. That's good. Okay, I think I was looking at the event calendar for Nano. Let's go with November 1st, and let's do the week view. There. So there's what the Nano week looks like. And as you can see, I ended up cross-streaming with Chris there, and I don't like that idea. But, I could definitely follow you if you wanted to start an hour early on the, or lead into you if you wanted to start an hour early on the 1st. I do my usual Sable's WorldForge there. There's a good one. Right? Or after. Either way. Oh, and Aaron's also going to be doing, like, writing sprint streams as well, 5 days a week, which he's deliberately tried to put between Greg and Darth so that he can fill in the spot. I kind of have a, you know, I have to be around and I'm around things, so here's what's going to happen with me. I'm doing, okay, ideally I'll be doing this launch stream. If not, I'll be turning it over to Chris, right? But that was just for the first day of Nano, because it starts at 7 a.m. Greenwich time, which is, you know, 12 a.m. Yeah, in the Pacific time zone, and standard time starts that day, right? So I actually originally signed up for like a 2-hour stream, but it's going to end up being a 3-hour stream because halfway through it at 2 o'clock, I set the clock back an hour, right? So, and then, you know, I'll still be doing my usual programs, Sable's WorldForge at, and Diane writes at 1 p.m. Pacific, right? But that'll be standard time now, right? Then I'll be adding some extras. I'll be doing a sprint in the morning. This is actually, I think, okay, that's 1, 12, 11, so 10 a.m. I intend to start that one, right? Leading into Shy Red Fox on Mondays, right? Then I'll be doing Thursdays every day. Well, even the day that we typically do State of the Multiverse, which is the last Thursday of the month, then I'll just start an hour later and I'll do the writing stream right after we do State of the Multiverse, right? And that'll be Thursdays from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific. And then I'm going to be doing another one of these from 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Oh, and I see I've given myself like an hour stream there. What the hell time was that? 4, okay, 2, 3. So I guess from 4 to 5 I intended to do something there. Oh wait, no, it's just that's the 3 hours there. Okay. Yeah, so adding some extra streaming sprints and whatnot to my schedule. Yeah, sprint streams. All right. And I'm sure that Kahuna is probably up by now. I'll just catch up quickly on things that are missed here. Yeah, and this way followers can actually meet you. Yeah, that's cool. Fair enough. You can always send them my way after your stream too, but I generally think that people aren't really streaming at that, you know, like, it's a different audience because it's a completely different time of day. Dad says, I still can't believe that article was so long, but the more I wrote, the more it needed to be written, if that makes sense. Yep. Happens to me all the time, which is why I always have a problem with fucking word counts. Okay. Which is why I've got to take those diplomacy panels out of my sidebar, because there's no need for them, and they're just going to eat up word count. Right? Not if I have the diplomacy web, right? So, Moonflower is here. Moonflower says, shivers, I'm suddenly cold despite it being nearly 27 degrees Celsius, 80 Fahrenheit. It's weird because I thrive in the upper 60s Fahrenheit, 20-ish Celsius. Are you inside with air conditioning? I'm inside, but as far as I know, the AC is off. Then you are underhydrated. Drink water, says Daz. Yep. Okay, says Moonflower. Yep, sounds like dehydration or heat stroke, says Siobhan. Yep. Daz said, take land, awesome! I agree, I thought that was just cool. They named it that way because they conquered it. I love it. Siobhan says, water is the remedy for both. Yeah, heat stroke or dehydration. True enough. Moonflower says, let's hope it's not heat stroke. I do have a tendency to overheat and I have hot flashes. Yes. Okay, so they're like, water. Drink water. Are you dizzy? Do you have nausea? It's only a ton. If you gotta pee, don't drink it too fast, you might puke. A little nauseous, but that's it. That's probably heat stroke, actually, then. Yep. I'll be fine, I promise. I'm not feeling all that bad. It's probably just underhydration. Yeah, it could be, but it could be mild heat as well. Yeah. And then recommendations about the drinking of the water. And Daz says, Siobhan, did we learn the same thing? Oh, hello, 1 second here. I'm gonna shut this down for just a sec. Okay, let's just finish this up here quickly. Gnomes are Celtic gods too, says Siobhan. Yep, correct. I'm not going to engage anymore in the water conversation because we're running out of time here. We're already out of time. No, I mean popping into your live stream in person, just showing up and like banging into my room and coming through the door. You could do that. Put your mask on. Yeah. If you're looking at a time adjusted ASC calendar, be careful. In November, you are no longer UTC -7, you're UTC -8. I think I adjusted for that, but I may have to adjust it, right? The point is that I'm going to be on at my usual time in my time zone, right? So instead of being on at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I will be on at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time as of November, right? So yeah, and it's going to create some confusion because Coffee Quills doesn't change, right? And Chrysalia doesn't change because they don't observe daylight time because their nations are smart and intelligent and not living in the fucking dark ages like ours. And Isaac shifts 2 hours. That's crazy. And Darth is just in time to raid Kahuna. Good to see you though. I'm glad you're recovering from mild heat stroke. That's good, Moonflower, and I'm glad we figured it out. Okay. Let's go raid Kahuna. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I'm sorry it was kind of a lower energy stream than my usual. It's just, I can't breathe, right? So, don't forget that the raid shout is prepare to be boarded because we are the Sable's privateers. We will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, for Toy Soldiers Old School, where you will eventually get to learn how this alliance that I'm working on pans out. So, and then after that, it's Aaron on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time with Ask an Old GM. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I'll see you over Kahuna's.